We made it. The draft is here. Today we conduct our final mock draft before the Packers make a selection on Thursday night.
Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Yeah, ain't no errors, baby. It's a new era. I wake up early feeling rich like I'm cash.
Welcome in another episode of Sounds Gouda. Hallelujah, we made it. We are here. It has been a ride, has been a lot of information, a lot of things to digest, a lot of data, a lot of metrics. But we appreciate it, as always, for you guys coming back and taking a listen to us. My name is Rob Ralph. Next to me is my best friend, as always, Jordan Olson. We're really excited to be talking again, more Packer stuff as the draft is here. So just know that we do have new content coming out every Wednesday and Saturday on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So make sure to give us a like, sub, and follow us on those platforms. And thank you to everyone who's already been commenting and engaging. We really genuinely appreciate all that stuff. So before we kick things off, though, Jordan's going to touch on a couple announcements.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Super excited too. I can't wait to be in Green Bay. By the time you all listen to this, if you're listening to it on Wednesday, I'll be traveling that direction and getting ready for the big show. But couple things to follow up on. We are gonna have our Sounds Gouda Draft meetup at 1 p.m. Central Time on Friday at Stadium View Sports Bar. They're not really taking reservations for small groups or whatever. So I just plan to go there, maybe like in the back room, try to grab a table where we can have some conversation, hopefully find a good spot to talk about what happened on night one of the draft and our hopes and dreams for day two. So just look out on our YouTube channel here and our X accounts. I'll make sure to post that information. And when I get there, maybe I'll try to post a picture of myself, what I'm wearing, where I'm standing. Feel free to connect with us, DM me on X as well, and I'll try to get you some information. And then, just to follow up, we do plan to release our Sounds Gouda Draft Guide. Yes, I said draft guide today as you're listening to this on YouTube and X accounts. So it's going to be a little bit more comprehensive than just our tier rankings. We're going to have our top 75 players, Sounds Gouda's top 75 players for the Packers, a recap of our mock drafts and more. So make sure to check out this free resource. We hope that it makes your draft experience more enjoyable. So with that, let's do a mock draft.
Yeah, let's do a mock draft. So this is the final mock draft before the draft. If you want to give that preference, this will be the sixth one. But you know what? Even just kind of reflecting and digesting and looking back, it's been an absolute blast, and has really brought a lot of really cool and unique fans and engagement to our channel. So really happy we started to do this exercise and I know Jordan and I have been enjoying it. So for this one, we are going to be sticking and picking. I am going to be today's Goody. So any sort of final decisions, disputes, whatever, that'll come on down to me. If you're new, one person is Goody, that is me. The other person, Jordan, on this episode will be Matt LaFleur, giving all the insights and how these prospects might fit in with the team and the system for the Green Bay Packers. So for this episode as well, along with our draft guide, we are going to be selecting our green tier players only. So the ones we really think that the Packers are going to be teeing up on, and really leaning into obviously top 30 visits. We know that every year they're at least taking 3 or so. I know that the COVID year they took a little bit more, which is kind of an outlier year, but typically they're taking around 3 every year from the top 30 visits, and then Senior Bowl guys too as well. We know that that's higher increase or chance of potential for the Packers to be able to take those. So just know, from the last ones, from our last mock drafts, if you are new here too, every sort of time we've been doing this mock draft, we've been trying to take a different route or a different kind of diversify it, make it fun, interesting, different scenarios, trading up, trading down, etc. But just to let you know, like some of our first round picks from previous, if you go back and watch any of those, we have selected Mike Green. The more that we did get some more information on him, we don't think that he'll be a Green Bay Packers. We do not think he will be a Green Bay Packer. Gray Zabel, we've picked Kenneth Grant. Shameless plug, we really like him. Trey Amos, we've taken, and Derek Harmon as well. So there's going to be some different types of options for what we could do today too, but we're really sticking to our board this time, and this really is the war room, and this would be Hopefully, however it pans out, this will be pretty close to what the Green Bay Packers, or at least what we think based on the data, metrics, and
Mm-hmm.
thresholds of who they will draft. So,
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, anything you'd like to add into that?
No, I'm envious that the way that this fell, that you get to be the final Goody when we've
No
got all this
pressure.
information. Yeah, no pressure. So if you don't like our mock draft, you can blame Rob. So no, nothing to add. Let's draft.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
All right.
Got to go 7 rounds there.
Yep. All right. So we are in and getting locked in, ready to go. As always, if you haven't been here before, we put the advanced settings all the way in the middle. Obviously, we're picking for the Packers. We're doing 7 rounds. I don't think I need to explain any more than that. And let's enter in this draft.
If we had really good production value on this, we would have like the little draft noises and stuff, maybe next year.
Yeah. I've seen some other people do that. But... all right, so let's get started.
Dual Carter, Travis Hunter, Tech McMillan. First 3 picks. Interesting. All right. We've got a couple of green tier players right at the top of our board there. So Emeka Mbuke is a green tier player that we've talked about. He's been heavily discussed by the Packers community at this point in time as a potential first round option if you believe the Packers are in the market for a first round wide receiver. Unless you're talking about Tech McMillan falling, he's probably your guy. Kelvin Banks Jr. is a guy that we like a lot. Rob, I don't know if you want to touch on him for a minute.
Yeah, Kelvin Banks Jr. I'm definitely another one of my draft crushes though too as well. He's got the size, he's got the metrics, he's got the thresholds that the Packers look for. This would also be something as well too that they really view Jordan Morgan as a right guard. So he would be your future stud left tackle. I mean, Rasheed Walker has obviously been serviceable. He has not been a liability, I don't think, but there's also a ton of improvement. And sometimes, he does need a little bit of help, especially on passing down. So I really do feel like Kelvin Banks Jr. could be a stud left tackle, and that's a premium position for any team in the future. So I'd love to get him.
And to add to that, I mean, he has the athleticism and versatility to play guard as well. So, perfect mold of, we draft him to be a tackle. And, who knows, maybe Jordan Morgan just wins that job and Kelvin Banks Jr. can also, fit
Slip
into
right
one of those
guard.
guard positions next year. Who else we got really quick? Those are 2 great options for us. We've got Trey Amos and Nick Scorton, which are green tier guys. Shamar Stewart is technically on our green tier list because he's a freak, although Rob and I are in agreement that we would not prefer that we draft Shamar Stewart. All upside and little production at this point in time. And then a couple of guys that I think are a little bit more second round targets. I think Jaden Higgins would be a little bit of a stretch in the first round. Michael Williams has fallen down this board.
Wow.
Who knows? If Mikel falls to us in the second, Derek Harmon falls to us, we'll see. We'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow, but I just want to note too that I think the corner room is very interesting because I think that there's like 3 or 4 guys that I really like that are all going to go on day 1 or early day 2.
Yep.
So for whatever it's worth, I'm not saying we're going to draft that right now, but if we don't get a corner early-ish, we might be waiting till later to address that position, and then we got to figure out what we're going to do with Jair Alexander. So
yeah, absolutely. Man, be tough. Yeah, we have taken Trey Amos from before too. So if I'm Brian Gutekunst, I'm thinking what I want them to do versus what I think that they would do in this position. I feel like they would take Kelvin Banks Jr.
I like Kelvin Banks. I mean, Goody, if you want to do that, I know that that won't be the most exciting pick for all Packers fans who definitely want pass rush and want wide receiver.
Yeah.
But
probably the most realistic.
We cannot go wrong with solidifying the offensive line for the foreseeable future.
All right. Doing it. Let's go.
All right, everybody get pumped. We're Matt LaFleur, we're Goody, we're in the war room, we're high-fiving. We got Kelvin Banks Jr.
Be
Heck
careful,
yes.
Rob might start singing again.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Jordan, I'm going to rely on you too, since I'm doing this, to give me the green tier guys.
Our first one that we have, we've got a couple on the list here. We've got Demetrius Knight Jr. I'm
Yep.
probably not taking him with our second round pick. It's too rich for where we're at with linebacker right now. If he fell to the third, I'd consider that.
Agreed.
JT Tulamalo from Ohio State. I think that there's a good chance that, we need edge and we would take him. Jalen Royals for a wide receiver from Utah State. I think those are the big three right here in front of us. So we got a wide receiver choice, Jalen Royals from Utah State. We've got our edge option from Ohio State. Well, I think it's really two because we said we're not going to take a linebacker with the second
JT
round
and
pick.
Royals. Yeah. Yep.
So I think the debate here is, where does the board stack up for us best later? Do we feel like Jalen Royals is the end of a tier, or do we feel like Jalen Royals falls in line with the likes of somebody like Torrey Horton Jr., somebody that might be available to us in the third round?
Dante Thornton,
And
even if you're going later on.
yeah, which would be more of just adding speed upside instead of a well-rounded receiver. Or do we address the pass rush, which I also think there's a little bit of a pass rush cliff. I think JTT can be a guy who's like a 8 sack a year guy at a minimum, somebody who has like Jared Verse upside.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see how that pans out at the next level.
And I'm just going to familiarize myself again. Run defense grade, phenomenal. Pass rush win rate, pretty good, 12.1%. True pass rate set 83, pass rush grade 77, run stop rate. I mean, 86 last year, 15
Yeah,
sacks.
15.
It's pretty good. 6'5", 269, absolutely fits the Hafley big edge.
I think that we didn't address the defensive front with the first pick, and we solidified the offense. I think it would be great for Jeff Hafley at this point in time to have a pass rush weapon, especially since we kind of missed on our corners, and now it's going to be more of a project corner later. Pass rush can be a solution for covering that up. So I would personally lean into JTT.
Agreed. And another insurance too in case LVN does not pan out.
And then Kingsley Angabari is going to be a free agent after next season unless we re-sign him. So that's great planning for the future there as well.
All right. I love it. Let's do it. I don't think we've taken him from before either, so this is good.
We took him in mock draft 3.0. Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay though. We're getting to the point where we're going to have guys repeated in this process, and I love JTT as a repeat pick. So all right, we're getting into, round 3 now, and we've got a few green tier guys available to us. If you go back to the top of that list, Trey Harris is a green tier wide receiver for us. I think that this is an appropriate place in the third round. He's not a burner, but he's definitely a big body possession receiver. I think he could be a backside chain mover for us. Shamar Turner is another great green tiered option for us if we want to continue to solidify the defensive line. I think he's a plus pass rusher. Go ahead and open up Shamar Turner's profile there for us quick, Rob.
Yep.
If PFF will allow us. Excellent, like good against the run, decent pass rusher. So we're getting more of a polished, hopefully higher upside TJ Slayton replacement with Shamar Turner if we're going to select that, which that's an obvious need for us as well. And let's look at what our other options are after that. Let's see here. Yeah, he's not on our green tier list right now, I don't think. Or if he is, he's later. Vernon Brereton for people that are just listening on the audio side and not following along with YouTube. We got to be mindful that we might have some audio listeners, and just scroll down a little bit more. Rob is a guy that's on our list, so we could look at some offensive linemen in this category. But I think we're kind of stretching out of our value of some guys who fell to us. So I think the decision for me is between Trey Harris, the possession wide receiver, which I was definitely really in love with early in the pre-draft process, or solidifying the defensive line, which I think there's kind of a drop off here in what you expect in defensive line production after Shamar Turner.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's tough. My heart wants to go to Trey Harris, but my head wants to go to Shamar Turner. So this is where you're making the big bucks. You know what? I'm going to try and solidify our defensive line. I think try to make the smarter pick, as I still like some options as well for us for our offense or wide receiver later on down on the draft.
I 100% agree, Rob. I think that we're not going to find I think this is really good value at the defensive tackle position. And also great succession planning as well, because, we don't know the future of Colby Wooden, Carl Brooks, Devontae Wyatt. We're going to need another body in 2026. And I'm hoping Torrey Horton or Dante Thornton Jr. or one of those other wide receivers are available to us a little bit later. So let's select Shamar Turner.
Okay, so we selected Shamar Turner.
So right now, for those of you keeping up and for our own, to keep ourselves straight, we got an offensive tackle in Kelvin Banks Jr., and we've solidified our front seven, our pass rush. We got JTT, we got an edge, and we got Shamar Turner, a defensive interior lineman. So we still need wide receiver. We could still address corner. We could go really... So we got an offensive lineman, but we could go anywhere from there. So
Yep.
Ty Robinson is on our green tier list just for reference. He's really shot up the board in the last couple of weeks. He was projected to be like a 6th, 7th round pick not too long ago, and now here we are in the 4th. I would expect him to go somewhere around the 5th round, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
We just took a defensive tackle though, so I don't think that would be in our best interest to select him here. Benjamin Uzarek is a green tier tight end for us. I think that he's a decent blocker, which you had to be a decent blocker to get on that list, but somewhat mediocre production in the pass game. I think he'd be a guy that I would lean into if he fell to the 5th. I'm more comfortable in a blocking tight end only there.
Agreed.
But let's go wide receiver hunting. Do we have anybody on our board that's a wide receiver? That's a wide receiver. The wide receiver market kind of fell apart on us, and that's we've got Dante Thornton Jr., Andrew Armstead, which are green tier guys for us that hopefully would be there potentially with our next pick. Mm-hmm. And then some later guys, Chimere Dike. So what else do we need?
I'm just gonna look for corner really quick. Quincy Ray.
Not great value there.
Yeah.
Jason Marshall Jr. is really the next green tier guy that we have on that list. Let's go back to what our best value is here. Let's look at all of our prospects. Scroll down. So we mentioned Benjamin Uzarek, Ty Robinson. Keep scrolling down. Let's find our next green tier options. Tyler Shuck, he's pretty high on my board. We do need a QB of the future. I probably wouldn't necessarily want to use a 4th round pick on a QB.
Agreed.
But it might be, okay. Then we got Jack Kaiser, which I really like Jack Kaiser. I would either go with the QB although it's a little rich for me here. Although I think Tyler Shuck is probably going to be gone by the time we get through the fourth round because there's a lot of QB needy teams.
Yep. Agreed.
Or Jack Kaiser, because I still believe that Jack Kaiser can come in and be a starter potentially on day one and make that linebacker room really strong. That's what I'm seeing that I like here at this point in time, sticking with our board.
Yeah, sticking with our board, the one that I like the best so far too. Jack Kaiser here. So that's the route I would go. It would be good playing next to Cooper and Walker. We'll see what ends up happening with Tyron Hopper. I know we re-signed Isaiah McDuffie, but really good linebacker, fell in our green tier, so would be happy for him. And I know he could probably at least provide some value on special teams too. So, all right, drafted him.
I feel good about that. I would be very happy in real life if Jack Kaiser was our fourth round selection. I would be really happy.
Agreed.
Now let's hope that one of our wide receivers are available to us.
Quincy Riley.
So Quinn Ewers is another green tier guy. So now we're in the fifth round. If our wide receivers are not available, we could take our backup quarterback. Kobe King, we just took a linebacker though. All right, Dante Thornton Jr. and Andrew Armstead are both available there, and I'm not going to play chicken with waiting on one of them to be available later on. So, which of those guys do you like better, Rob?
I mean, but for our listeners, Dante Thornton Jr., very tall, very fast. I know we did get McCole Hardman, although I think he might be more punt return and kickoff return. Maybe he'll see obviously some offensive snaps, depending on how that shakes out, and is still pretty fast. I know he might have lost a step or two, but Dante Thornton Jr. has a lot of straight line speed, very fast, very tall. Would be a welcomed element within our team and a good Christian Watson replacement until he can get back later on in the year.
Yeah, I like it. And don't sleep on Andrew Armstrong either as a fifth or sixth round selection for the Packers. He's kind of a big physical, do it all kind of guy. And I would be very happy with him as a fifth or sixth round selection as well. He's kind of risen up the draft boards a little bit more, but he had over 1,100 yards of receiving last year at Arkansas, was kind of their number one option. Great against
Very
man
good.
coverage.
Yeah.
Great contested catch rate. And I think he's like 6'2", 215-ish. He's a little bigger than that, 6'4", 202. A lot of guys to keep track of.
Yeah. Age later on in the draft, it's probably okay.
Let's stick with your plan, but I just wanted to mention that if they drafted Andrew Armstrong in the fifth or sixth round,
I'd be happy with
pretty
that
happy
too.
with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. We selected Dante Thornton Jr.,
wide receiver from Tennessee. So we've gotten offensive tackle, edge, defensive tackle, linebacker, and wide receiver. We've addressed every major need except for corner. And, our corner room is okay. I feel okay with them going in with the group we had, although we still need depth at that position. Jason Marshall
Jr., if you're listening, went 1, 2, 3, 4 picks before this, and that was my kind of backup. So this is the, probably keep Jair Alexander, depending, or, if they trade him. We've had other mock drafts where we've had other cornerback needy teams taking him to be able to pick up an extra pick. So
Andrew Armstead did fall here, though. I like him. Cody Lindbergh is a linebacker. If we didn't take Jack Kaiser already, he's a full green tier player for us, so he'd be a great option here in the sixth round. Jonah Moheim is a interior offensive lineman, tackle convert to center. We could always use more offensive line depth. And who knows, Elton Jenkins might be the center for us for a year or two, and then plug in Jonah Monheim in 2027 as our starter after 2 years in our system. I might really love this selection here in the sixth round.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. The only kind of wild card that I'd be thinking of here too is what's going to happen with Jacob Monk. We saw a lot of him from the preseason. he didn't get much time in the regular season to play, but I like at least what I saw from that. But would be an agreement here though as well, like to load it up, give you some more options. No more Travis Glover entering into playoff games against the doomed defensive line from the Philadelphia
Yeah,
Eagles.
exactly. If this pushes Travis Glover off the roster, which I'm
Yeah.
not in love with, or to the practice squad, I'm not afraid of that by any means.
We are aligned in that. So drafting Jonah Monheim, the center out of USC, with pick one, what was that, 198, I believe.
Yeah. So now I feel really great about our offensive line depth. Added a tackle, added an interior player. We still could seek a corner here, a backup quarterback, potentially tight end. I think those are the things we're looking for late. So if you scroll back up to the top here, Rob, let's see what our options are. Drew Kendall is a green tier center for us. Obviously has Boston College connections. If we
Yep.
didn't just take Jonah Moheim, he
It'd
would
be a
be
good one
great.
there. Yep.
Brady Cook is a green tier quarterback option for us. That would be a developmental backup. Don't mind Brady Cook as an option here.
Yep. I like that too as well.
Let's see what else we have on our list. Keep scrolling down. Is there any tight ends that we like still here? Jameis Dumas Johnson is a linebacker I like, but that room is fairly set now. Go back up to Orlando Gadsden II, a tight end from Syracuse, is one of the only green tier tight ends we have in this draft. So
Where was he?
I think we've got some, you just were hovering over him there. Scroll down a little bit more. I think he could be available. 254. He could be
There he is.
available at our last pick.
And he was a good inline blocker, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, like a plus inline blocker. I think he can be an average or better inline blocker, an average to good inline blocker in the NFL.
It would never happen, but how much would you hate Brian Gutekunst if he took your boy Graham Mertz right here?
I think Goody has seen enough of Graham Mertz decision making to stay away from that. So I lean into either selecting our backup quarterback project and Brady Cook,
Yeah.
or scroll back up. What was our other options that we had? We have our tight end option, and then keep scrolling. Yeah, I think either the backup quarterback or the tight end, and whichever order we might like to take them. If we took a tight end here, somebody like Seth Hennigan could be available, a little later too. But I like Brady Cook as a better option right now.
Yep, I am in agreement. So I'm going to go ahead and draft Brady Cook out of Mizzou, quarterback. On to our last pick. Just going to filter the tight ends because I just want to see. Yep, he's still there.
He's there, and he's our last true green tier guy on this list. I like to bring him in to compete, and who knows what the future of Luke Musgraves is. Ben Sims. I think this is good long-term planning for the Packers as well. If we did select Orlando Gadsden II,
What a name, Ronde Gadsden the second. Yes,
it's very very regal.
yeah, yeah. Makes me think of Gaston. Gaston.
And who
Okay.
knows? Maybe we're not even pronouncing that right, and we'll hear something different during the draft. But I hope we're close.
Yep. All right. So drafting Aronde Gadston the second, the tight end out of Syracuse. So Jordan, you want to give us a recap of our picks here real quick when I can get them up?
Yeah, I feel really good about this. We stuck to our board. Obviously, in the middle there, we kind of had to make some decisions about figuring out what our best option was after, some guys we hoped might be there in the middle rounds were gone. Like, I feel really, really good about this draft. We addressed almost every position we needed. We double dipped at the offensive line position, but we took Kelvin Banks Jr., an offensive tackle prospect from Texas, at pick 23.
Let's go.
JT Talamalu from Ohio State, an edge rusher at pick 54. Solidified our defensive interior and hopefully have a really strong front against the run by adding Shamar Turner, a defensive tackle from Texas A&M at pick 87. Took Jack Kaiser, a linebacker from Notre Dame at 124. Added the speed to our offense that we were seeking with Dante Thornton Jr. from Tennessee at pick 159. Have a great option to have options along our offensive line with Jonah Moheim, a center prospect from USC. Developmental quarterback, maybe QB2 of the future, and Brady Cook from Mizzou. We took him at pick 237 and got a great value and a tight end project. And Orande Gaston the second at pick 250. He's a player from Syracuse. So I feel really good. How do you feel about this, Rob?
I love it, man. Just this whole exercise, going through the data, getting all the metrics right. Jordan, you've done an extremely, awesome job with getting a lot of that found out, and to be able to have these intelligent discussions. And granted, like, we can't peek into the future. We don't have a crystal ball, but like on our best guess based on the metrics, the history, the traditions, of what the Packers like to do. This is what we think that they could do. Now, we could be completely off. They might take some other ones from the Greens here that they might value a little bit more, throw some, kind of wild card ones in there. But these are high up prospects that meet the Packers thresholds for what they're looking for each one of these. So, that's in our draft guide too as well. You guys should be able to have access to that too. So I love it, man. I think this hits spot on. If we got this draft, be totally happy.
We're gonna get dinged on the people who really wanted a corner, and I'm in that group. But hopefully, the work that Xavier McKinney's working in to smooth over Jair Alexander will bring him back as a productive contributor to this team. And if that happens and Jair gets back to being a top 15, 20 corner, we're going to be in a really good spot. We got a busy week ahead of you. We've got extra shows this week because it is the draft, we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary this week. We're doing some extra stuff. Tomorrow, we'll have our day 1 draft preview coming out, so make sure to check that out. On Friday, we'll have our year 1 anniversary episode. Which, we won't gush on too long, but we're going to share a little bit of our journey and celebrate a few things from the year, do a day 1 recap, do a day 2 preview. On Saturday, we're going to do a day 2 recap and a day 3 preview. And then you'll have to wait until Wednesday to hear from us again during our regular spot. And we'll recap day 3 and give our overall draft feelings. So, but yeah, more great content consistently from Sounds Gouda every Wednesday and Saturday throughout the rest of this off season. So thanks for listening. Share this with your friends, anybody else interested in the draft. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button, comment, like, and let us know what you think. And then follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. You can connect with us on X. Rob's at Sounds Gouda with 3 A's, and I'm at Olson Jordan. But until next time, Packers Nation, have a Gouda morning, a Gouda afternoon, and a Gouda night. Go Pack Go.
Been wanted this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better.